Hi everyone, let's take a look at the following example. Given the following function, complete the square. Now when it comes to completing the square, there are three basic steps. I'm going to write them out on the side for you. Then I'm going to demonstrate it with this example. So CTS stands for completing the square. The three steps goes as follows. Step number one, you always want to start with factoring. So there's a common factor, you bring it to the front, which would demonstrate. Then once you go through factoring, step two is broken down into 2a and 2b. The first part of step two is you have to divide by 2. And we'll talk about what we're dividing in a moment. And 2b is once you divide that number by 2, you're going to square it. So whatever that number is, you're going to take it to the power of 2. Last but not least, once you finish steps 1 and 2, the final step, again, is you factor and simplify. So again, we're going to demonstrate all this with this example right now. So here's the first step. If you think about this, y equals to negative x squared minus 8x plus 5. So step one is to factor. You're going to grab that negative 1 to the front, and you don't factor the constant at the end. So there's a plus 5 at the end of the equation. You can just copy it. But if you think about the negative sign, that means you have negative, open bracket, x squared. Now, the reason why this makes sense is because negative 1 times x squared will give you negative x squared back. Likewise, if you think about the next number, you got to take the middle number and divide by the number at the front. So negative 8 divided by negative 1 is going to be 8. So again, it's going to be plus 8x. How do we know we're doing it right? Negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. Or negative 1 times 8x is negative 8x. Step 1 is done. Step number 2, you divide by 2. And what I'm talking about is this number right here. So when I say divide by 2, I'm taking the number 8, which I'll do in a corner here, and you divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4, and that's going to be step 2, part A. Then you take that number and you square it. So 4 square means 4 times 4, which is going to be 16. And what you have to do is you're adding and you're subtracting that number. So what happens is you're essentially adding 0. You're not changing the value, but you're changing the form. When you do this correctly, you're always going to get a perfect square. So this brings you to step number 3. You're going to factor and simplify. What I really mean is you can copy everything that we have except for x squared plus 8x plus 16. When you factor x squared plus 8x plus 16, this is going to be a perfect square. How do we do this? It's going to be x plus 4 quantity squared. The shortcut is you take the square root of x squared, which is x. You take the square root of 16, which is 4. If it's a plus sign, you copy plus. In a different example, if it's minus, you copy minus. The difficult part is now over because if you expand this, again, you can draw the arrows. That's going to be negative times x plus 4 quantity square. Then you have negative 1 times negative 16, which is positive 16 plus 5. So the final answer is going to be y equal to negative x plus 4 quantity square plus 21. What does that really mean? You look at the leading coefficient. It's a negative sign. This means it's going to open down. If it opens down, it means it's going to be a maximum. And that's the vertex, by the way. And the maximum is going to be negative 4 and 21. So again, remember, the number inside the brackets, you always think opposite. So if it's x plus 4, you write down negative 4. But the number at the end, you copy it as is. So again, this is how you complete the square. If you find this video meaningful, is adding value to your math life, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. I hope this makes sense.